Please welcome Kristin McManus.
Good morning.
Good morning.
But today I'm here to talk to you about professional development, or PD. We all know that not all PD is created equal. Some we have to take because of licensure requirements, and it might not be something that we're incredibly interested in. Some we take because of district initiatives, or because it fulfills the requirements of a graduation program we are enrolled in. But today, I'm here to get you to start thinking of PD in a different way. Fair warning, I am a history teacher, and as such, I love to tell stories. And I often teach my students as if I'm telling a story. So I'm going to start you off with one. I remember being 22 years old and first starting in this profession. I was an 8th grade U.S. history teacher and completely clueless about this thing that they call professional development. I had no idea how it related to my licensure or if it was even worth taking. So that first year, my school had enrolled in the Teaching for American History grant program, and we're offering week-long professional development in the summer. I kind of figured, well, hey, I teach American history, I should probably take that. So I signed up, and I must admit, I was probably way more interested in the stipend that it was going to provide, and perhaps the graduate credit that it was going to provide. And I say this without qualm because I know we have all been there. Money talks, especially when it's to a 22-year-old first-year teacher who is holding down 3 jobs and facing the first of her student loan payments. So, I signed up for this course in slavery in New England, and I was hooked. It satisfied me on 2 very basic levels. The first, my geeky, history-loving self. I lapped that stuff right up. I couldn't get enough of it. And the second was that it actually taught me strategies and project ideas and lesson plans that I could bring in my classroom. I was so excited to get back in the classroom that I forgot that it was July and I had to wait another month. So, from then on, I have consciously decided to approach professional development with 2 goals in mind. First, can the PD satisfy my geeky interests? Is it something I enjoy or is it something I know a little bit about and would like to know more about? I see myself as a professional student, so it all comes down to whether or not this PD opportunity will let me be a student and not just a teacher. And second, can it help me teach? Does it inspire me to teach? Does it give me strategies that I can use in my classroom? Does it inspire me to want to make lesson plans based on what I've learned? In my mind, and this is going purely from my own experience and no research whatsoever, these should be the 2 cornerstones of valuable professional development. 1, can I learn something to satisfy my geeky interests? And 2, will I learn useful things to implement in my classroom? I think it's important for us to see that there is a distinct connection between student engagement and teacher engagement. So let's take a little detour for a minute. If you think about the non-education world, an important part of managing your employees is making them happy. So let's think about some companies and the way in which they go about doing that. Some companies have, great holiday bonus plans, right? Or perhaps they have wonderful health benefits. Some companies have nap pods for their employees to take a quick snooze in the middle of the day. Can you imagine nap pods? It'd be amazing. Sometimes we see workplaces with free coffee, snacks. Sometimes we see workplaces with foosball tables or ping pong tables. But let's face it, we are teachers, right? Our health benefits are shrinking. We sure don't get nap pods. And we never get holiday bonuses, because in our profession, that really just isn't the norm. So in the absence of these types of job perks, I have made it my goal to try to influence my own job happiness, because my happiness as a teacher will directly impact my behavior in the classroom. And I should note, I look for free or cheap professional development opportunities as well. Those are the best kind. While I may not be able to take naps in the middle of the day, I can try my best to embark on opportunities that will engage me in the summertime, sustain me throughout the school year, and then make me look forward to something in the next summer as well. I am lucky enough to be part of a school community that is not only extremely supportive of professional development, but I am also part of a teacher community that has a huge amount of talent. To help illustrate my points, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of my own professional development opportunities and give you examples of some others as well. In the fall of 2016, I approached one of my colleagues, Elizabeth Horniman, who's an art teacher at our school. I found this cool thing, very randomly, where it was an organization called Fund for Teachers. They funded grant opportunities for teachers to create their own professional development experience. So if you want to take a trip, they will fund your flight, your lodging, your food, conference fees, and so on and so forth. So I took a step back and started thinking of my own dream professional development. For me, it would entail travel, and then it would entail something that I have always wanted to do. I had always wanted to go on an archaeological dig. I never had any aspirations of being Indiana Jones, but still, that was what I was thinking I wanted to do. And so I started doing some research and found a few options, and the most appealing one was to go to Italy. Elizabeth and I sat down for many hours, wrote this grant, applied, and we got straight up denied. Denied. And rightfully so. We did work hard on that grant, but it could have been better and it could have been lots more focused. And so we vowed that we were going to regroup and write again the next year. Perhaps you heard about an incident in that same fall of 2016. It happened at our school and it made the local news. Our school experienced an incident of vandalism on a rock that the students paint for school and team spirit. It's located right in the front yard of our school. There were symbols of hatred and discrimination graffitied all over it. In response, administration had a school assembly. They brought in diversity speakers. Teachers had lots of discussions about school culture and climate. The students formed their own groups, and there was a community group formed as well. But despite this, more hateful symbols were still showing up around our school. As a faculty, it was shocking to us to learn that students really didn't understand the significance and the seriousness of a swastika and other hateful symbols of discrimination. Since that time, it was clear that the teachers and the administration and the students really need to work together to educate the students and foster a more positive school climate. So Elizabeth and I put these two things together. We realized that we could link the school climate and negative symbols by studying ancient symbols. We went back to the drawing board and decided to write another Fund for Teachers grant. Our hope was that we would travel to the northern mountains of Italy, where we would study ancient rock art on an archaeological dig, and then we would travel down to Naples and go to Pompeii and the National Archaeological Museum to find out about what happened and what was left behind after the volcanic eruption at Pompeii. Our essential question guiding this was, how do symbols emerge from, define, and impact a culture? Our hope was to learn all that we could while we were in Italy and come back to school to engage the students and teachers in a community service learning project. We wanted to beautify a sort of rundown courtyard in our school by having a ceramic tile mural painted, with all the students would paint their own tiles and with positive symbols of school community. So we reapplied and we got it. In the summer of 2018, we traveled to the northern Alps of Italy. We dug in the dirt, we listened to lectures, and we worked right next to some of the foremost experts in the rock art field. We helped to study, document, and even discover rock art that was 5,000 years old. We then traveled to Pompeii to see what the city had left behind after that volcanic eruption. This whole experience was once in a lifetime. We came back to school enthused and excited and got started by having teachers, students, and other teachers' classes as well paint the ceramic tiles. We enlisted the help of the garden club to make plans on taking out the plants in the courtyard. And we also applied for a Harvard Schools Trust grant to provide money for supplies. As of now, we're about 300 tiles in. We do still have about 500 more to go, but we hope to continue this project in the next year. So this trip helped to solidify my belief that professional development that is valuable needs to have these two major things. First, this totally met my geeky interests. And second, it inspired me to want to go back to my classroom and engage my students. So I figured, okay, let's try again. Let's look for another PD opportunity that could meet these two goals and test my theory out a little bit. So this past summer, I applied for the Supreme Court Institute. I should also note that this was my second time applying. If you can't tell, I'm persistent. Anyway, I was lucky enough to be accepted. I traveled to Washington, D.C., where I took classes with 29 other educators from across the country. We attended workshops at Georgetown Law and heard from law clerks who worked for Supreme Court justices, attorneys who worked for the Department of Justice and the White House, and attorneys who had argued 20 plus times in front of the Supreme Court. I was able to sit in the Supreme Court and listen to 4 decisions handed down, and I was also super lucky to meet Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She took the time to talk to each one of us teachers, and I conversed with her about the state of civics education in Massachusetts and about our new social studies frameworks. Geeky interests? Totally check that box off. Check, check. Strategies to implement in my classroom? Check. Without a doubt, check again. So I decided to further test my theory. I couldn't be the only one who's out there doing these types of things. I decided to reach out to other teachers in Bromfield to see if they ever had a PD opportunity that met these goals as well. I talked to Emily Meraki, who teaches 9th and 10th grade English at Bromfield. She told me about a course that she took with Research for Better Teaching. She said that she was literally sitting in the chair in the classroom and thinking about how she could implement these strategies that they were teaching her. Not only was the instructor engaging, but it was the best course that she took because it was applicable to her job in that moment. Lastly, I talked to Kathleen Doherty. Kathleen is the Social Studies Department head at Bromfield and teaches 11th and 12th grade electives such as AP Psychology and Current Events. Kathleen has always made the events of September 11th an important part of her classroom curricula. She was a classroom teacher on that fateful day and has always incorporated student oral history projects, as well as made bulletin boards with primary sources from the time. 2 summers ago, she applied and was accepted into the Gilder Lehrman Institute for American History. She went to the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in New York City and took classes with survivors, first responders, and victims of 9/11. She maintains that it was one of the best PD opportunities that she has ever experienced. She was engaged, she was eager to learn more, and she was eager to bring back what she learned to school. Later on that year, she organized a community event to hear from Captain Brenda Berkman. Captain Berkman was a New York City Fire Department and first responder in 9/11. I brought my own classes to hear Captain Berkman, those are a few of our students, and I was so thankful to Kathleen that she was so inspired by her PD to come back to school and to provide these opportunities to our students. To sum up, if we want to engage our students in the classroom, teachers need to be engaged as well. We need to seek professional development opportunities that challenge our intellect and that teach us strategies to implement in the classroom. We all teach because we are passionate about kids, but also because we are passionate about the grades and the subjects that we teach as well. Therefore, we need to harness that passion, use it in our classroom, and inspire that passion in our students. I encourage you all to rethink your approach and seek out professional development opportunities that make you excited to learn and excited to engage students in your classroom. Thank you very much.